In this video, you will see our incredible safari in the heart of Nairobi City. All this and more in our new video, Nairobi National Park. Hi travelheads, it's early morning in Kenya and I can tell you that we are glad we booked our tickets in advance. If you don't, you may have to wait in line for an hour or longer and miss the opportunity to have the best start to a safari, as most of the animals are active at this time. You know what's funny? While I was filming, I completely missed the fact that we saw the first animal right outside the entrance. Did you see it? Let's zoom in. Funny, isn't it? In case you haven't seen our other game drive videos from Uganda and Kenya, I'll tell you how to win the game drive shortly. It's very simple. You just have to see these 5 animals: the lion, the elephant, the buffalo, the leopard, and the rhino. The so-called Big Five. Shortly after the entrance, we found this shy Pumbaa right next to us. Another advantage of being one of the first in the park. We only had to drive a few meters further, enjoy the sunrise over the city panorama, and then we were able to set the first point for our game drive. Unbelievable! 2 male lions make their way through the participants of the game drive. We are always impressed by how unimpressed and relaxed the animals are by the cars. For a few minutes, they just walked along and barely had a look at us. You could see that one of the lions had already had a fight. The wound was quite visible. Simply wonderful. That's the reason why we go on safaris. The first few minutes were incredibly exciting. We have rarely seen such a beautiful sunrise on safari as here, and we were curious to see if we would finally see the first rhinos. Our guide made every effort to ensure that we reached this goal as quickly as possible. 2 rhinos were already waiting for us. On the 3rd game drive, we finally saw rhinos. What an incredible moment! We hadn't expected them to be so relaxed, but like most animals, they didn't care about the vehicles. One of them decided to give us a few questionable insights. They continued on their way through the park. We were able to follow them for a short time, but then they were too far away, so we decided to move on. By the way, if you like our videos, we would be happy if you subscribe and like, because that helps us to make videos like this for you. Thank you very much. We spotted a few hippos in a small lake. In contrast to our tour on the Kazinga Channel, there were really very few of them. While we are almost driving into another safari vehicle here, have you noticed that you can see buildings from almost everywhere in the park? This is simply because the national park is actually in the middle of Nairobi. In the early years of 1900, the area that is now Nairobi National Park was a vast savanna, home to abundant wildlife. As Nairobi expanded, there was increasing concern over habitat loss. So in 1946, Nairobi National Park was officially established, becoming Kenya's first national park. So, what else makes this park so special? It's the only national park in the world, situated so close to a major city, providing an extraordinary contrast between urban life and wild nature. Look who has become curious about us. A friendly giraffe was watching us. We tried to get a little closer to it, and were very surprised at how close we could actually be. Giraffes are the tallest land animals, with males reaching heights of up to 5.5 meters and females up to 4.3 meters. Their long necks alone can be up to 1.8 meters long. Each giraffe has a unique coat pattern, similar to human fingerprints. These patterns help camouflage them in the wild. And did you know that they can consume up to 34 kilos of foliage daily? Crazy, isn't it? Have you ever met a giraffe? Let us know in the comments. Awesome creatures. I could watch them all day. But let's move on. We have a game drive to win, buddies. In Nairobi National Park, we had absolutely no problems seeing animals. After a short drive, one always kept popping up. Here we see a rhino with its baby. Isn't that amazing? Look at how it walks protectively around the young animal. The mother has laid down in front of the young one. Maybe she doesn't want us to continue watching the baby, but we can still see it. Look at what we found on a short break. Do you know what it is? Please tell us in the comments. The midday sun was slowly setting in, and it was getting much warmer as the traffic suddenly built up on the paths. And here you can see why. Unbelievable what was going on here. We've never had this much traffic before. Everyone wanted to see the lioness. I can understand it. She is beautiful. When it's as crowded as here, it's really difficult to take the best photos. That's why we decided to retreat and continue with the game drive. The roads are clear again, and as usual in Nairobi National Park, we saw the next highlight straight away. Masai ostriches. Did you know ostriches are the fastest birds on land, capable of running at speeds up to 72 kilometers per hour over short distances? They use their powerful legs to outrun predators, and this one poops on the recording. This reminds me of a situation earlier this morning. When they're not pooping, it's really interesting to watch them. We continued our journey. Our guide showed us a spot by a small lake. There was a small herd of rhino here. These animals really look incredibly strong and powerful. You can also see some hippos in the background. Did you know that hippos like to stay in the middle of the lake to protect themselves from predators? One thing we really love about Africa is the fact that you can see so many animals in one place. Take a look at this. Just a few meters away from the rhinos and hippos, a crocodile basks in the sun. Just as we were about to set off, a rhino became curious and made its way to the road. It stared at us for a short while. We couldn't really assess the situation, so we decided it was better to drive on. In such areas, we have always tried to find leopards in the trees. Unfortunately, there has been absolutely nothing so far. If you have already seen our previous videos, you may have noticed that we have hardly seen any zebras, except once from very far away. So we turned our attention to a herd of zebras and were completely surprised. It was simply amazing. We hadn't expected to see so many of them up this close. And the great thing was, they didn't feel disturbed by our vehicle at all. They even weren't at least a bit shy. It was incredible. Zebras are prominent in African folklore and culture, symbolizing freedom and natural beauty. But sometimes their behavior can look a little weird to us. Interesting fact, in the wild, zebras typically live about 20-25 years. In captivity, they can live up to 40 years due to better health care and absence of predators. In this situation, you can see very clearly how little the zebras are bothered by the cars. They know that there is absolutely no danger from us. Unfortunately, it was now time for us to leave the park. So let's check the score. Sadly, we didn't see a leopard and also no buffalo. The elephant was not possible because Nairobi National Park is too small for them as a habitat. But we had really nice experiences with the lions, rhinos, and lots of other animals. For us, it was definitely one of the best safaris here. And while you watch this beautiful rhino eat, I would like to thank you for watching. And if you are interested in our safaris in Amboseli National Park in Kenya or Queen Elizabeth National Park in Uganda, you can find some more videos from us here.